Good day, I'm Brad Gage and welcome to Mental Health Mythbusters, where we trade falsehoods for fact in matters of the mind. In a lot of ways, we see the mind as a muscle. We give it mental exercises, work it out, strengthen it, and feed it the right foods for it to function better. It's just too bad you can't see it, but my mind actually has a six-pack. Okay, it's more like 4 lobes, but who's counting? One big difference between a brain and a muscle is that while the brain can be injured physically, it can also be injured psychologically, sometimes impairing the way it functions. This injury is called trauma, and it's the root of today's episode. We are going to be looking at the myths around post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. So, what is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder is a highly disabling condition that's triggered by a terrifying event, either by experiencing it or witnessing it. Symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the event. And the event doesn't have to be violent. A sudden emotional experience such as the death of a loved one can also lead to PTSD. We are finally starting to understand how common trauma can be outside the common examples of war. Myth number 1. Only military veterans get PTSD. Fact. Anyone who has experienced trauma can develop PTSD. About 8% of women develop PTSD sometime in their lives, compared to about 4% of men. It can occur after many different types of experiences, from disasters, witnessing a death, to, yes, military combat, or being the victim of sexual assault. That last example, sexual abuse or assault, brings with it a complicated set of stigmas that can many times cause the person to go through PTSD and their symptoms alone, in silence. So it's important to take people seriously if they open up to you about experiencing PTSD. Myth number 2. You must directly experience trauma in order to be diagnosed with PTSD. Fact. Individuals living with PTSD need not directly experience trauma. They may witness it, learn of someone else experiencing it, or have some other indirect exposure to it. I think that this is a really critical point because it's easy to discredit something if you've never experienced it. And that can lead to a lot of us dismissing or disbelieving how much someone is struggling. The thing is, you can never fully understand what someone has been through and how their experiences have impacted them. The mental health community agrees that becoming aware of traumatic events, the kind of things that stick in your mind so you keep thinking about them over and over again, those can sometimes cause severe behavioral impairments in people. All our minds are more receptive and sensitive than we even think they are. Even yours. Yeah, I'm talking to you. And I know you're thinking, how can I confirm I'm specifically talking to you? Well, I happen to know that you're watching this video on your computer or phone, in a room, or outside. So, yeah, I think I know you pretty well. Myth number 3. PTSD is an immediate response to trauma. Fact. Symptoms of PTSD usually begin within 3 months after experiencing or being exposed to a traumatic event, but may emerge years afterward. For a diagnosis of PTSD, symptoms must last more than a month. It's like in movies when sometimes memories just pop out of nowhere and poof, I guess you're a spy now. Your experiences and memories can be locked away for a while and then come crashing into focus for some reason. Our minds can unconsciously suppress or minimize painful memories as a protective mechanism. The impact of an event can show itself if it's triggered at any time down the line. So it's up to us at that point to decide if we want to address it and start the work of healing. Because PTSD is absolutely treatable. Many different kinds of psychotherapy, including general cognitive behavioral therapy, prolonged exposure therapy, and eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, or EMDR, may be effective for people experiencing PTSD. Certain medications can also be helpful. As long as we agree as a society not to shame people who recognize they need help, we can encourage everyone to speak with a trusted clinician and find a treatment that works for them. It's basically the same thing as asking someone for a spotter at the gym, which is a place I definitely go to all the time. to work on my ab lobes. I'm actually picturing ab lobes for the first time, and I think that was a mistake. If you are looking for resources on how to find treatment for PTSD, you can find them in the description of this video. And if you have a moment in your own life when you knew it was time to reach out for help in your mental health journey, share it with us in the comment section. Who knows if it might help inspire someone else to recognize the impact of trauma on their life. Until next time, I'm Brad Gage from Mental Health Mythbusters, debunking the junk you've heard about mental illness.